I'm George Malim. I'm with Mark Burnard from Amdocs. Mark, data-driven insights have been a buzzword for years, but their success has often been inconsistent. Can you delve into the key reasons why previous data-driven initiatives have not always achieved their intended outcomes?
There's a few factors at play there. Actually, one is probably just the fact that traditionally data was always seen as an IT asset, and it probably started out that way by necessity because back in the day, IT data was really highly specialized area to work in, like 20, 30 years ago, right? But the nature of data has shifted. So data now is increasingly, it's the product of a business process. It enables a business process, and the logical place for data to find a home is in the business. And I think that as IT, we've struggled because we want to provide a service to the business, but it was often the case of, we'll build something over here and then we'll throw it over the fence to the business and we hope that they get value from it, from an analytical perspective, from a data-driven perspective. And it for that reason, there was a very high failure rate. I think as organizations transition from the concept of data being owned by IT and governed by IT and managed by IT, and it's like the business comes over and says, could we do something really interesting with some data, please? And IT says, we'll give you a little bit here, and that used to drive certain behaviors like keeping copies of data off, the data warehouse or, in a spreadsheet somewhere where no one can take it back off from me again. That's moving towards governance of data and management of data being embedded in the business. And that allowing a whole lot more access, a whole lot more capability, a whole lot more flexibility, and a whole lot more creativity in terms of what we can do with the data. So those data-driven outcomes now are being more driven by the business as a business initiative, owned by the business, maintained by the business, supported, facilitated by IT, but essentially it's an end-to-end business process with some IT facilitation. And I think as we see that model mature, and we're seeing it, more and more, we will see much more a higher success rate of data-driven initiatives, if you like.
Great, Mark. So with the rapid evolution of technology, what significant advancements have occurred recently that make data-driven insights more reliable and actionable today?
One of the more significant ones is, data usability is a critical factor here, right? And so how can the business get access to the data that wants seamlessly, easily, with low friction, to be able to churn out use case after use case after use case after use case from a data-driven perspective. And we've seen the emergence in the last 5, probably 10 years of this category of software called a data catalog. Best advantages would be Elation, Atacama, Calibra, Atlan. By the way, this is not an endorsement of any particular software, just a short list of some of the market leaders per Gartner and IDC. But what this data catalog does is it acts as a clearinghouse for data access, but also as a knowledge management solution for, so the business can come to a data set and say, hey, I'm looking for something that will allow me to do this with a customer segmentation model. Where can I find that data? And they search the catalog. Increasingly, these catalogs are becoming more and more AI driven. So it'll be like, ask in plain English, where can I find data that will let me do this? And it'll say, well, there's a data set here, which 9 out of 10 people recommend, and there's a data set over here, but it has caveats, and there's a data set over here, but someone said this about the quality of that data. Which one would you like to use? And then that kicks off a workflow that says, can we have access, or can this user have access to this data for this purpose? That goes through, potentially an ethical review, so that, privacy principles are respected, and so on. And so that kind of self-service model makes the data far more usable in a much more rapid way. And so the time to value is significantly accelerated. So I think that's probably one of the biggest changes in the way that we're working with data. And it coincides with the first point about data ownership becoming more and more a business capability or aspect rather than, again, IT managing everything.
Sure. So cloud computing has obviously revolutionized data management. What specific capabilities does the cloud provide that are not feasible with on-premises solutions, particularly in enhancing customer experience?
Again, the big differentiator for cloud is the ability to innovate more quickly because of the flexibility that it brings. And just to provide a real-world example, when I was managing the data warehouse at one of the telcos that I've worked with, we had, a backlog of projects that were going through their, dev, test, prod sort of life cycle. We had 8 test environments, which were all on a very small subset of production data. And then, a project would reserve a test environment for a few weeks to finish their testing. But if they went over by 3 weeks, every project was backed up, waiting for, there was a knock-on effect on all the other projects that were waiting for the test environment. In the cloud, you don't have those constraints. You can spin up a test environment, bang, 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 because the infrastructure is available on demand. In terms of best practices there's infrastructure as code, which means you can take the code that spun up the production environment, network, VPCs, access controls, permissions, etc. You can take that and just run the code in a test environment and spin up a carbon copy of your production environment with no mistakes, no ClickOps, no one forgot to tick the box that says don't make this bucket exposed on the public internet, for example. And so you get this safety around being able to spin up environments very, very quickly, which removes the constraints that we used to have with all of this, on-prem, limited, constrained infrastructure that had those knock-on effects around being able to execute projects quite quickly. The other aspect of that also is that increasingly, data has gravity, right? And so as data moves to the cloud, it meets, the latest machine learning capabilities that the cloud providers are offering, whether it's SageMaker from Amazon or the equivalent capabilities from the other cloud providers. Those capabilities are in the cloud. So when your data moves to the cloud, they're right there. And then now we're seeing also with large language models, with generative AI, those capabilities tend to be based in the cloud also. So you bring your data to the cloud, and now you've got this massive tool set that is available to the data to be able to do more and more cool things.
So Amdocs is known in the market for its integrated approach. What unique strategies do you employ to synergize data, cloud, and customer experience for delivering superior results?
Amdocs is at an interesting place in the market because it's actually not a consulting company that brings data solutions, particularly bespoke data solutions, as a service to a customer. Amdocs is really a product company, and it's got deep experience in telco and in financial services around bringing products to market. But then, you get faster time to value because you've got an out-of-the-box solution. But then you also get faster time to value on the customer experience side and the data-driven customer experience side, because you can bring that data very quickly into a pre-baked data model, like called Data One in our case, in the case of Amdocs, and then rapidly get value out of that analytics solution as well. So to provide an example of this, so Amdocs, as a company providing services and software into telco, looked at a problem that a lot of telcos were having, in that you've got these very large, monolithic billing systems, sometimes CRMs in the back end, but then the marketing team and the product team would be looking to bring new products to the market every couple of weeks, new products, new bundles, new offers, new pricing structures. And so the ability for the monolithic back-end applications to support that rapid turnaround of new products and new offers just wasn't there. You can't configure the old systems that quickly. And so Amdocs brought to market this product called the product and pricing catalog. So it was like a middle layer between the front-end customer experience and then the back-end monolithic applications. And so it enabled a product team, for example, to construct new offers, new bundles, new go-to-market strategies, and then the product and pricing catalog would do the middle layer configuration so that the back-end billing systems could handle those new constructs and then manage that so that the customer still gets the right bill for this innovative, creative new bundle that the back-end systems never thought of, never knew of, don't even know about. What's interesting is that in the financial services space, there's an analogous kind of situation. A lot of banks have a back-end core banking system, credit card systems, mortgage systems, margin lending systems, etc., which are quite difficult to work with, long development life cycles if you want to bring iterative changes to those systems. But then you've got product teams and marketing teams that want to bring new offers, a car loan bundled with insurance, bundled with, other special kinds of combinations of go-to-market. And so in the financial services space, this product and pricing catalog product is able to do the same thing that we did for telco, which is act as that middle layer between innovative new bundles and products and pricing constructs that we're bringing into the market, and yet translating that into the back-end systems, the monolithic systems, so that now we can iterate and innovate much more quickly on, still having the mainframe systems in the back end or the large systems in the back end. But what that does now is that actually gives us different layers of analytics as well, through which we can then refine the customer experience further. So in the back-end systems, they're generating data based on the constructs, products, billing, and configurations that they understand. So all of your performance metrics on those generic or monolithic constructs, mortgages, margin lending, car loans, credit cards, etc., all of that analytics is supported as it always was. You've got now a middle layer where the bundles are constructed, and you can run your performance analytics on the constructs that you're taking into the market, and then tweak those constructs as appropriate. And then you've also got your front end, which is driving the sort of customer experience data stream, web clicks, application interactions, how people are actually working with those bundles at the user experience layer. And all of those UX analytics you can drive also to fine-tune the customer journey, the customer digital journey, etc. So across all those different layers, you've got that ability to drive the customer experience further.
What future trends do you foresee in the intersection of data, cloud, and customer experience? And how is Amdocs preparing to address these emerging trends?
I think we're going to continue to see an extrapolation of this triad where new customer experiences require data and data requires cloud. So I think we're going to see more data moving to the cloud. As it moves to the cloud, we're going to see more and more use cases supported by those innovative approaches to working with data that are supported by machine learning, by all those cloud-based machine learning capabilities, and increasingly as well by generative AI. As Amdocs, we've already got some of these products that we're bringing into the market. We also have use cases in production at telcos where, for example, we've fine-tuned a large language model on a body of data from the pricing and constructs and products and offers that are available in the market. So then a customer can interact with a chatbot that is actually intelligent. And it's a large language model-driven chatbot, but the chatbot's being trained or fine-tuned using retrieval augmented generation on the body of knowledge that exists as to what bundles are available in the market, and then can answer questions intelligently about those bundles. We're also seeing the ability to, and what we're looking to do even more, is for the large language model to be informed by a customer's actual bill. So look up the billing system, find out whether there's some interesting anomaly in terms of how the most recent bill was provided to the customer, and even anticipate the question that a customer is most likely to ask based on the customer experience data that the large language model is picking up from the billing system, from the web system, from even, that stream of customer interaction data that we've seen before. So I think we're really, really in the infancy of generative AI. It's nice that Amdocs already has a head start in this space, and that depth of background in telco, for 20, 25, 30 years, I think in the telco vertical gives Amdocs a head start as well. And we're also, as I mentioned already, having use cases in production where we're seeing that exploitation of generative AI to drive the customer experience.
Great, Mark. Thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure always. Thank you.